Alex Wilson, and South Representative. Kind of going all over the place with what the thing is. I think if you stick to the actual motion and what it said in terms of in keeping with the spirit of Remembrance Day, as to what Mr. Day said, the point that he did raise and how he did get it approved by the chaplain. So there, and if you have a problem with the words that he said, they wouldn't have been as choicy as I would have done it. But you don't have a problem with Mr. Day, you have a problem with the ceremony and its reflections in terms of Remembrance Day. So you can't really hold them accountable for the entire ceremony when there's so many other people that were involved in it, especially if somebody else is approving his speech. But people are trying to get into whether or not what he said was his personal privilege, or whether or not it was his own views, or whether or not they were on the students. And it's very easy to perceive that he was speaking on behalf of students when he opens it with a description of his position. Naturally, like when I open the speech, I assume that if you're going to define what you're doing and that you are the voice of the students, regardless of if you state later that it's your own views, you kind of already put that out there. But I don't really think he needs to be reprimanded by the AMS. I'm assuming if he's the third officer of Queens that he's more than capable of assessing his own impact. And it seems pretty obvious that by the turnout today that what he said was controversial. So what I really want is just as a question to Mr. Day, as it was already stated before, that maybe just verbally stating that you're sorry if it caused any offense. Maybe in the context of this meeting, there's definitely not all of Queens showed up to the AMS tonight. What are you going to take after this meeting, regardless of this motion, to address the concerns? Because as a first year, I have no idea how at all my views or my opinions are all connected to you. I don't see that it was very difficult to establish any sort of feasible connection between me as a student and you as the rector. So how can you kind of talk to all the students to express that?
Thank you. Mr. Day, I'll respond. So just respond and say, and Nick Day, Rector, that I'll just, what I'll do is I'll write like an article, hopefully ask it to be published in the journal, which I'm sure they'd be like willing to do, explaining the views that were in the article, and explaining why I said them and the discussions that went into them being said. And as I said twice tonight, say that I regret if my opinions hurt anyone's feelings.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Day. So at this point, I'm going to extend my deepest apologies to those still on the speakers list, as we are past 90 minutes now. So we are going to move into voting on this motion, but not until we get our closing statement from Mr. Traeger. So, any sort of floor, Mr. Traeger?
I started off to let you know that I'm surprised to see the amount of research that's been done into my personal life over the course of the last couple hours. Quite delighted at that, actually. But moving beyond petty ad hoc and attacks, I think we have to get back to the question at hand. And there's been a lot of learning tonight, but the primary question at hand is, did the rector use his authority and his role responsibly this morning? I don't believe that he did. And there's been plenty of evidence presented on both sides. So the ball's in your court in terms of, I'm not going to present new evidence, I'm just going to try and contextualize the argument. Did he use his position appropriately or not?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Dreyer. So, two things. So, on the request of Ms. Schoppel, I am just going to explain the effects of this motion in addition to rereading it. So, I'm going to start by rereading it. That AMS Assembly, in order to preserve the political neutrality of Remembrance Day, formally censure Rector Nick Day for his disrespectful comments at the Remembrance Day ceremony in Grant Hall on November 11, 2010. So, as it was explained earlier, censure acts as a reprimand. We are saying we are formally doing it, so it is a formal reprimand. There will be no subsequent documents or releases or anything. What we are passing here today on this piece of paper that is what is coming from this motion. That will be made public through the minutes, and looks like we have the journal here tonight, so I'm guessing it will also be, the results of the motion will also be made public that way. In terms of, is there any forced action. No, this is just simply AMS's Assembly's stance on this particular issue. Okay, so, Mr. Okay.
Just to clarify, are we voting to call the question right now, or is the question being called?
It is already called.
Second point of order.
Yes.
Is it, so the statement, is it AMS censures, or is it
Yes.
AMS censures because Nick Day said something irresponsible and disrespectful?
I will read it
Is it the
again.
exact motion, or is it censure?
I'll read it again verbatim. That AMS Assembly, comma, in order to preserve the political neutrality of Remembrance Day, comma, formally censure Director Nick Day for his disrespectful comments at the Remembrance Day ceremony in Grant Hall on November 11, 2010. Okay. So
I would like to motion for a secret ballot.
so you don't need a second. So we're going to do a secret ballot.
I have those sheets of paper too.
They were just on the table, I didn't bring them.
Okay, okay, so a couple things I should know. So we are going to distribute, I think they're CIA approved, I don't know.
They were just on the table.
Okay. So only voting members and members who have received a proxy from a voting member may vote. We're going to circulate, Cal and I are going to circulate this, and then we're going to collect it. We then tabulate the vote and release the results. Mr. Wazowski. Yes. So, yeah, to be totally clear, on your ballot, which is just a square piece of paper, write yes, no, abstain. Only 3 options. Pardon? Yeah, actually,
As opposed to like you writing
okay, so everyone bear with me for one moment. So seeing as we are now calling the question, we are about to enter voting. We must maintain a undisturbed, quiet, and respectful environment such that the voting members of Assembly are not influenced in any sort of way beyond the debate that has already occurred. Therefore, I strongly encourage members of the gallery and Assembly and everyone else here to simply do your best to stay quiet and polite while the voting members make the decision on their vote. And then Mr. Macbeth and I will collect the votes and we'll go from there. So, okay, so Mr. Macbeth is going to collect the votes whilst holding the attendance list as we go around, just to make sure we have all the right people. And I'm going to read the motion one last time, as this is going to be us entering into voting. So the motion moved by Mr. Traeger, seconded by Mr. Hartley, that AMS Assembly, in order to preserve the political neutrality of Remembrance Day, formally censure Rector Nick Day for his disrespectful comments at the Remembrance Day ceremony in Grant Hall on November 11, 2010. Members will vote yes, no, or abstain. And
yes being for the vote.
yeah, yes being for the censoring, and no being against that.